Okay, so after well over a decade, it's finally here. I'm going to be talking about the last episode in the last season of The Walking Dead. So if you haven't seen it, this will contain spoilers. So yeah, I've never really spoke about this show before because it's one that I've sort of come and go with over the years. I managed to catch up with it over the pandemic, and yeah, let's say that The Walking Dead's best years are a few years behind it. But the finale's here, so let's talk about it. As always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review, so let's get to it. Now, I'm not going to cover everything that led up to this, just the finale, so if you haven't seen the rest of the season or you gave up years ago, this won't make sense, that's perfectly fine. Just leave a like on the video and then come back when you want to watch a Star Trek one, which I'll probably do later on in the week. So Judith's been shot and she's in hospital, which is exactly where her dad Rick woke up in episode 1. Daryl also gives her a blood transfusion like Rick did to Carol, so there's a few callbacks in this episode. The Commonwealth is in the middle of being invaded by a zombie, and this episode opens up with straight in deaths, running down alleyways, the whole Walking Dead thing that we come to love or get a little bit bored of over the years. And Pamela Milton has sealed off her section of the community, leaving everyone else to deal with the horde themselves. So, politicians, man, what are you going to do? You get a real sense, at least for some of this episode, that it's building up to something bigger, sort of like the attack in Winterfell and Game of Thrones. Just, you can see this because it's during the day, it wasn't that horrible blackness that we had in that episode of Game of Thrones, but it doesn't have the huge scope and feel to it, if that makes sense. Apart from the music, which at times throughout this episode is epic, you can really tell that they've recorded a new score, especially for this finale, and it shows. I wish they'd started doing it sooner, if I'm being honest, because it really draws your attention to the action and things that are going on. The pace does slow down once the gang meet back up, and there kind of is a resolution to the whole Negan-Maggie thing, but no clear direction of what the setup for the show is going to be. But yeah, the slowdown didn't really work for me, because it's the finale and this episode does have to do a lot. This episode's got a lot going on and a lot to tie up with the characters, the story and the Commonwealth arc stuff as well. And it needs to set up the Daryl spin-off too, which is coming. And oh yeah, he does find out about Rick and Michonne after Judith let slip. But was it just me? Because he didn't really react like he was that shocked to it. But if you've watched this episode, let me know what you think in the comments below. I just thought tonally it was very weird. So, as I said, there are a lot of deaths in this episode, not as many as I would have thought, and one of my main criticisms of this show, especially over the last 2 or 3 years, is it could have killed more characters and taken more risks. Not everyone did have to survive to this point, and they sort of deliver on that in the finale. Rosita gets bitten, and the send-off that they give her is pretty solid. I really like the scenes with her and Eugene. But yeah, they could have done this sooner with characters like Gabriel or Aaron or Jerry, who didn't really do much in this episode or this season. Other characters as well, like Princess. I know she's in the comics and she had the whole relationship with Mercer, but this didn't really play out that effectively in the show. They only brought her in the last sort of season and a bit. So yeah, I think less characters would have given the writers time to tell the story more effectively. But for whatever reason, they decided to keep everyone in. So, this is all leading to the close of the Commonwealth arc, and the big climax between Milton and Daryl doesn't really feel like it, to be honest. It's all resolved super quickly. She's just arrested, and that's it. And because it's a finale, we're going to get a time jump, and it goes forward a year. And now Ezekiel's governor, Mercer's his second hand, and everything seems to be good enough. We don't get too much information on most of the characters. I mean, Eugene's got a kid, Carol and Daryl are still there, but beyond that, there's not a lot of tying up of arcs for these characters, because a lot of them, again, like Aaron in particular and Gabriel, haven't had a lot to do the last few years. So there's no real progression or arc to tie up for them. You just get to see where everyone's at a year in the future, and that sort of civility has now returned. The only sort of thing that happens is that Daryl goes off on his own. Now, we know that this is for a Daryl spin-off show, but the way that it's framed in this episode, it just seems like he's going out on a long patrol and he'll be back soon. But yeah, they don't really set anything up for what's going to happen in his solo season if he is looking for Rick. So let's talk about Rick, because both Rick and Michonne make reappearances in this episode, and we knew that it had been coming for quite a while, and most people, or a lot of sort of heavy fans that some people I still talk to, were expecting it was going to happen a lot sooner than the final episode. So what exactly has been going on between these two? Well, not much. Michonne is still on the hunt. She's got a new set of sexy armour, a horse, and seems to be heading into either a massive horde of walkers or people. It's kind of hard to tell even if you do zoom in. But the Rick stuff is the far more interesting stuff and the stuff that all the fans want to know. So we do get a flashback scene, and I need to stress that it is a flashback scene because we see him throw the iPhone that he'd written on into the boat that Michonne found later on. So this is months and months and months before the end. In fact, it's over a year if you count the time jump before the end of the final episode is set. It looks as if he's on the run, because he is on the run. He's not getting his shoes on, he's wearing a CRM jacket, and then we see a helicopter sort of hover over him saying that he's been caught. So we know that at least up until some point he was still out there. He will still be out there because they're going to do a spin-off show about him and Michonne. But yeah, I was expecting more of a setup or a bit more sort of meat on the bone of the tease that we were going to get on this. I felt it was very bare, and if you are a hardcore Walking Dead fan, or at least if I was, I'd feel really let down about this. Are you a hardcore Walking Dead fan? Were you just happy to see Rick back? Do you not care anymore? Let me know in the comments below. And also, if you watched the episode, what did you think? Are you sad to see these characters go? There were quite a few emotional moments that were well done and a few that particularly weren't. But again, I've sort of come and go with this show ever since season about 6. I sort of lost interest, and like I say, I went back to it, and yeah, the season after where they get rid of Rick and there's a time jump with the Whisperers was absolutely brilliant. And then the year after that, I think COVID really damaged the show and it never picked up the pace leading up to the finale. But the show, at its high point, was a cultural phenomenon and was one of the most downloaded and watched shows on the planet. But yeah, let me know what you think of the final episode. Let me know what you think of the season so far. And definitely let me know who your favourite villain is. If you've made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It means so much. I'm posting more content all the time. As always, I'm Al. Thanks for watching.